Hi everyone, this is Ryan Hoyme, aka Massage Nerd, and today we have a special guest, Matthew Howe from Touch Education. Welcome, Matthew.
Thank you for having me.
Yep. And for the two people that don't know you, can you give a little background on how you got involved in massage and what you've been doing so far?
Sure. I've been a massage therapist for about 14 years. I got into massage kind of on a whim. Got into a car accident and broke both my forearms. And my first experience to any kind of massage or body work was Reiki. And had a pretty profound experience from Reiki. Didn't know what it was, but I thought we were going after sushi, but I wasn't really sure. So, that's just that's kind of how it happened. And then was really intrigued, so I decided to go to massage school. And that was back in 2000. And as a result of that, I went to school and been doing massage full time since then. Went back to the massage school here in Orlando to buy lotion one day and got asked to come back and teach. And that was back in 2003. So I've been teaching the massage school since 2003. And then right around the same time, I had been training in spas. And a friend of mine and I got together, and that's when we came up with the idea for Touch Education. So in 2007 is when I became an NCBT&B approved provider to teach continuing education.
Oh, cool. And then what made you get interested in PTSD for massage therapy?
Um, it's a personal heart-based thing for me. Um, when I moved to Florida from Cincinnati back in 1999, my best friend from college decided to answer his heart and he enlisted into the Army. And over the years, he has been deployed a number of times, and me being 900 miles away while he's there, I've watched him come back with deeper and deeper cracks each time. Which healed over time, but the residue remained. And this last time he came back, I went up to visit him, and I saw firsthand all the stuff that I've been reading for years on PTSD and what it looks like, for our soldiers coming back. And so I saw that, and doing massage for as long as I have, with a focus on craniosacral therapy. Was able to employ some of the dialogue that we do with that modality with him and see him get softer. And so started doing research. I did some online classes through the VA to find out what their take on it was, what they were doing to treat it, what I could possibly do to help. Because over my career in massage, I've come across, I don't know, I'd probably say at least 6,000 or 7,000 people who have a version of it. I'm not diagnosing them, but hearing their personal story as they talk while we're doing massage. PTSD, in my mind, was originally targeted for the veteran community, which I've got a big heart for. But the scope of what PTSD is much, much larger than that. And when I started researching, I realized the impact, the amount of people that aren't necessarily getting reached that we could reach through bodywork.
Yep, and even with 9/11, when people are even just watching it on TV, some people said they got PTSD just from watching it and not even being there. So the thing is, a lot of people don't realize that
Right.
just by watching something, not even being physically there, it can happen too and stuff. So.
Sure. Yeah. There's actually, it's called primary and secondary PTSD. Primary is when it happens to the person, and then secondary is just like you described. I mean, we all remember where we were on that day, where something happens to somebody else, and it impacts that person and it affects them. One of the last cases I had was a woman who she was from Mississippi, and her town got hit by the tornado that went through there a couple of months ago, and her house was fine, but the house next door was completely gone. And from her description, her neighbors, they took it as this is a chance for us to rebuild the way we want to rebuild, and they were really positive, but she was absolutely crushed and gutted that her house wasn't bothered at all. So even though it didn't affect her directly, she had that secondary wave of trying to manage that.
And for myself too, for the Boston Marathon, I witnessed it
Sure.
and videotaped the second bomb going off. And the thing is, I felt extremely guilty for feeling bad afterwards and stuff, even though nothing physically was happening to me and stuff like that. And luckily, I was able to get help right after that and stuff, and that definitely helped. But it's just a weird feeling. It's just like I shouldn't be feeling this way just because I'm okay and everything else. And
Sure. Yeah, and that's a big piece of it. That's a big piece of what we do in the class, and what we do, what I do in my practice is just create space for that decompression and that process to go through. Because in our minds we go through and we process stuff, but as massage therapists, we all know that what's going through our mind oftentimes has an effect on our body, or what we're storing in our body has an effect on our mind. So, it's awesome that you were able to get that kind of support to work through that.
yep. And then also with PTSD and stuff, with massage therapists in general, we're more sympathetic, more caring, and everything else. I mean, in your classes and stuff like that, do you really go in depth into that area? Because the thing is, massage therapists typically will start to absorb how other people are feeling sometimes and stuff. And I
Yeah,
mean,
absolutely.
you know,
We go into detail of how people, what the diagnostic criteria are for people who have been diagnosed with PTSD. Not so that as massage therapists, it's outside our scope of practice to diagnose people. But if we understand what the diagnostic criteria are, and they're on our table and they've been diagnosed, we know we've got a framework of what they've been through. So as therapists, it's understanding the difference between sympathy and empathy with our clients, and understanding what neutral is. Is massage therapists, myself included, we're kind of like the golden retriever. We're super excited and ready to help people, but sometimes people who are suffering from PTSD don't want that golden retriever. They need more mellow. They need somebody who's just going to meet them in the middle, or just kind of not necessarily give them any kind of energetic impact. More along, just kind of give them space to do what they need to do. So we talk about that quite a bit.
and I know for myself too. I mean, especially the first month after it happened for myself, I didn't want to be touched at all, kind of
Sure.
thing. I mean, do you run into those types of clients, or is there more one client than another kind of thing, or?
Yeah, it's the entire spectrum. It could be somebody that you have on your table who um, smells a smell on the way to your office, and it reminds them of their grandma, and then all of a sudden they're reminded of the terminal diagnosis that they have, and that's a form of PTSD. Um, and just rehashing and reliving that experience. Uh, I've had people where I had this gentleman who his wife, she was a client of mine, and she came in and she's like, "Hey, I was just wondering, do you think you could help my husband?" And I'm like, "Sure. How?" And she's like, "Well, he's been a real bear lately. My word, not hers." And and I was like, I'll bring him in, and we'll have a chat, and I'll see what we can do. And a month or two goes by, and nothing, no hide or hair of him. And all of a sudden, she comes in, and he comes in, and I can see their daughter drive around the side of the building, and I'm like, "What's going on?" Because he's holding a bowling bag. And I'm like, "This isn't a bowling alley. Oh no, this is going down. This is, okay, he's here now. All right, so here we go." And she's like, "I need to go use the restroom." And she excused herself out the back of our clinic, because I heard the chime for the door, and it's just him and I standing in the lobby of my clinic. And I'm like, "So, let's go this way." And because he had no idea. He thought he was going bowling.
They kind of tricked him.
Oh yeah, they sandbagged him completely. And so I walked him back, and we sat down, and we literally just stared at each other for the entire 50 minutes. And I thought, maybe I'll send this guy some energy, or all the stuff that we try as massage therapists to try and accommodate everything that went through my mind. That wasn't, I'm just going to sit here and stare at him. Felt like it got pushed back at me. And I was just like, okay. I mean, I'm not a real energetic person, but I respect the principles of it. And we got done, and I'm like, okay, well, your time's up, so let's go ahead and walk up the hallway. And I was exhausted. I was absolutely worn out. And we get about to the end of the office, and he turns around and looks at me, and he goes, "I'll see you next week." And part of me is like, awesome. The other part of me is like, really? Because it's going to take me 7 days of sleep to catch up on what I just had to go through. But it's just an example of we have to meet them where they're at. The next time he came in, he laid on the massage table, and all we did was just kind of have a conversation, not like a therapeutic psychology kind of conversation, just where are your aches and pains at, what does it feel like, and I did just like a general range of motion kind of intake, and gradually we got to the point where he went from there to getting a stretching session. Then we made it to, we did a little bit of hand and foot massage, and then we did some craniosacral work, and then we actually got to the point where, about 4 or 5 months later, we were actually doing full-blown traditional massage and body work. So sometimes we have to have the tools in our toolbox where just holding space is the session, because that's what they need.
Yes, definitely. Yeah, because I've had clients too that just really negative, but you just try to delve into the personality and see what you can get out of them. Because I myself, I like to use humor, of course, but in those circumstances, you got to be careful, of course, too. You have to really look into the person and see if you can kind of push it a little bit and stuff. So.
Right. Yeah, humor is a great therapy, but when it doesn't land in the right spot, it's detrimental.
Yep. And why do you think that there is not hardly any classes out there with massage therapy and PTSD and stuff like that? Because you'd think there's a huge need for it out there.
I don't know. I have my college experience my major was in psychology, so there's already a piece of my mind that works that way. And I'm not really sure why there's not. But I just know that for me, this is from all of the years and years of doing massage on different people from all over the place, working in spas here in Orlando. It's just an answering to a call. For me, it's information that needs to be out there, and just the information to put it in the therapist's hands to let them integrate the knowledge into what they do. The class that we do isn't intended to be a standalone modality. It's more of a mentality and approach to massage, to be able to massage the conversation and massage the situation so that you can open up the scope of what you're doing so that you can help more people.
Yep. And then after it happened to me with last year with Boston and stuff, so many people, tons of people kept saying, "Oh, you should go get a massage and stuff like that. You'll feel better." But the thing is, massage is not the answer for everything, is it? And
no, it's a good answer. I'm a big fan of the answer. If there's an addiction that I have other than chocolate, it's probably massage. But that that's why the title of the class is Body Work for PTSD. There's actually very little effleurage, petrissage, tapotomid, standard type massage in the class. It's more learning how to read the person, read the situation, read the tissue, and let them know that if somebody's been sexually abused, taking their clothes off with a stranger, probably not the first thing they're going to want to do. May not be the last thing that they want to do. But if you let them know, hey, you can leave your clothes on. We can help turn down the volume for you while you're still clothed and help you see what your body feels like as the volume gets turned down until you're comfortable, if you're ever going to be comfortable taking your clothes off with a stranger. Is people who get massage all the time, for us, it's not that big of a deal. But if you think back to when you got your first massage or the idea of getting a massage, that trepidation that hits us as far as like, I got to take my clothes off in a room I don't know with a person I don't know, standing on the other side of the door, can be, kind of intimidating. But then you put somebody who's been, violated in some form or fashion, or their nervous system just doesn't understand. It can turn off. It can turn down. Then that's where we can help them, just kind of turn the volume down on it without causing more irritation.
Yep, and just like in the past, I mean, many years ago, I had a client with anorexia. I mean, and they're really, some of them are really self-conscious with their body, and one of the first things I told her is she can just leave her clothes on to start off with, and she can if she wants to come in for other treatments and stuff like that. So it's totally up to her what she wants to do. But it took a few months, but she was actually able to get a regular massage and stuff. But it's
Yeah, that's a really important part of what we do is trying to help people be comfortable. So the way that I describe it is, what we're dealing with is people who are like 8s, 9s, and 10s in their nervous system. They're jammed into fight or flight, and there's a piece of them that knows, I want to relax, I want to sleep better, but neurologically they're just off on the other side. They're in that fight or flight response where they just can't hit rest and digest. So sometimes it's just letting them know that, hey, this is an option. Just by hearing that there are options can be hugely beneficial. Especially with the veterans that I've worked with. Some of them are still active duty, and everybody knows what's been going on with the VA and everything that's in the news right now. A lot of these guys aren't getting the help that they want in as timely manner as they're looking for. So there's been a bunch of them that have been, come across my way that we've been able to help because they're not able to get it through the traditional channels.
And have you been able to get massage, for them to get reimbursed and stuff through like the VA and those different areas then, or?
Some of them, I'll fill out the paperwork for them and, support them that way. The insurance process is more work than I have time for at this time. But I'll fully support them, and I'll fill out the SOAP notes, and I'll fill out the charts, and any paperwork they bring me, I'm happy to fill out. But for me, part of it is helping them understand that they're making an investment in themselves. In my experience, they've come in and they're like, I'm going to get a massage, but do you take insurance? And when I tell them what the process is, they're like, well, I'll just go to the doctor and get a prescription for some medication then. So for me, that's not the client that I'm going to be able to help, in a direct manner. And a lot of these guys, especially the active duty guys, they've said as much as they don't want this kind of information in their jacket because they don't want the possibility of, like a mental disability discharge. Some of these guys are maybe 2-3 years from retirement, retiring full honors military. They're not looking to get that cut short. So we help them, and treatment room's kind of like Vegas. What happens in my room stays in my room.
Yep. and I'm a total believer on it, with anything bad, there's always something good, because with the veterans that suffer from PTSD and stuff, it actually makes the average public more aware of it too. So I think it's helping out in a way, because the thing is, it's more of a common term now that people are hearing now and stuff. So and that's why I totally believe massage therapists should start delving into this area a lot more. But again, it's a fine line, just because we don't want to diagnose, and there's so many different things. But that's why your class, I think, is so important, though, too.
Yeah, the one of the first things that we talk about is maintaining your scope of practice. Unless you're a mental health counselor or a psychologist, psychiatrist, something like that, unless you have the degree and the training and the license to diagnose and to counsel, we don't. If it comes out of the tissue during the session, it comes out of the tissue during the session. So we recommend that therapists who, if they're gonna start working and opening up to this population, have a functional working relationship with mental health counselors, with a psychologist. So that if you come across somebody who you think might get, maybe you need the peanut butter and jelly sandwich to help them, massage and body work as well as counseling. Maybe they need more counseling than they need massage. That's where we as professionals get to establish that professional credibility of, I think you'd be better served over here for a while and then come back when you're ready. So that we can stay inside our scope of practice and do what we do with integrity. That's a big word for me, is integrity. If your lips and your life don't match, there's an integrity gap. So if we're gonna tell, if I'm gonna tell my massage students you need to know when to refer out, that counts for me too. So that's kind of where we talk about that in the very beginning of class is state to state, different scopes are different. I'm very lucky to practice here in the state of Florida, where our scope of practice is large and very accommodating for many styles of body work and many styles of therapists. So it's important that each place I go, I read up on what is their scope of practice, so that we can help them understand, how do they stay inside their scope to maintain their professional credibility.
Yep, definitely. And you guys can even do ultrasound there, right?
Yeah, we can do ultrasound, we can do hot packs, thermotherapy, kinesiotaping, cupping. If you want to, you can do colonics. I mean, it's pretty wide open.
Yep. Yep. And have you run into people that don't want certain areas of their body massaged because of PTSD and stuff? Or?
Sure. And that's one of the things that we talk about, is having a global impact on the person while working regionally. We hear about it in a massage school, and we say to our clients all the time, everything's connected. Well, if we're going to tell our clients that everything is connected, then we can practice on that principle that everything is connected. So if somebody's been sexually abused, they probably don't want anybody near their hips and their pelvis. But the good news about the pelvis is attached to the cranium via, spine and erector spinae and dural tube and all that stuff. So we're able to, facilitate change in the North Pole and have an impact on the South Pole. Because if we can restore that flexibility in our nervous system, a lot of times they'll grow into a space where they're a little bit more accepting of the full body work. But the technique of working from a place into a place. If a shoulder hurts, you can start at the fingers and kind of work your way back towards the shoulder, and you can work on the feet up towards the hips. So we want to be respectful of whatever issue. If somebody suffered a head trauma in a car accident, and they don't like people around their ears, but they're getting headaches, you can maybe laying face down on a massage table isn't an option, so maybe you put them in a sideline position. Just kind of going over different scenarios and different situations from my experience and from the experience of other people that I've talked to, and just educating the students of the class on, here's as many stories as possible that are real-world examples of how to just kind of tweak a situation so that you can achieve the goal that you and your client set out to do in any way that's going to be acceptable to them.
Yep. And do you typically see more emotional releases on the table with people with PTSD then, or?
Sometimes. Sometimes it's just like it's a simple epiphany. Where they just kind of go, that's one of the things as far as is maintaining our scope of practice. The problem with chasing dragons is you find dragons. And unless you're a dragon slayer, you're going to become a crispy critter. So we don't go into the sessions going, you may have an emotional release. We let them know it's a possibility, but by no means is that what we're trying to elicit in the situation. If it comes up, it could be 1 tear. It could be 10,000 tears. The size of the response isn't what we're shooting for. It's just, if they go from, if I ask them, where are you at on the scale of 1 to 10, and they tell me they're a 10. And when we get done and they get to maybe a 9.9, in our analytical mind it doesn't seem like a lot, but to them it may be an entire galaxy. So we just kind of hold that space for them and let them do their thing. And if the emotion becomes too much to bear, we help the therapist understand how to hold space and guide them back and just kind of let them process. And again, it comes back to, if it's too much for your comfort zone as a therapist, that's when you need to refer out.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, because use the term "if in doubt, refer it out" kind of thing.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and do you stay connected with psychologists and psychiatrists and stuff like that, so you can refer people then too, or?
I do. I do. I actually had. She was a massage therapist, and she was an abuse counselor for the Navy. So she's a massage therapist. She was an abuse counselor for the Navy. So she went through the class, and we were able to talk. And I've talked to a couple different psychologists and a handful of psychiatrists. As far as kind of like present them with situations, what would be your recommendation? Do you have any specific verbiage that you would recommend I use or recommend that I stay away from? Just to kind of massage the conversation. Or what am I listening for if somebody's at that point where they may not want to go on, kind of a thing. So I've compiled a list of keywords and different kind of conversations and situations from them to kind of assimilate out so that we as therapists can kind of pay attention. And then wherever I go, go and connect. Start with I live here in Orange County in Orlando, so I reached out to the Orange County Mental Health Association and talked to them and got a couple of names and numbers. And I don't have a personal relationship with the people, but more a geographic relationship with them, so that if somebody's in a different part of town than where I live, I can refer them to that place, to go and talk to that person that's in their area, because if it's not convenient for them, they may not want to seek the help. So I'm trying to accommodate them as much as I can, and we talk about how to do that in a class as well.
And for your clients that have PTSD and stuff, how long typically after they develop PTSD would you actually see them for massage? I mean, just you in general and stuff. I mean, would you say in the first month or many years from the time it actually first happened, or?
Yes.
Okay. A little bit.
Yeah. Because I have clients that I've been seeing for years who maybe they had a sudden loss of a loved one. And that's part of the PTSD that I have personal experience with. I lost my dad when I was 22.
Oh.
I remember the day that he got diagnosed, and that was the day that hurt more than the day that he passed away. In retrospect, in the moment, terrible is terrible. But for me, that was the moment when, like, if I think about which day I was more emotionally gutted on, it was the day of the diagnosis. So I have clients that I've been seeing for years who, I live in Florida, so there's a bit older population here, so it's something that happens, relatively often. But I'll also have clients who have been referred to me from other clients, from former students, from people that I've met, from different places. There's an acute traumatic stress disorder, which is under 30 days from the event. And depending on who you talk to, they may say that's like the natural grieving period. And then once it goes beyond that 30 days, that's when it starts to become post-traumatic stress disorder. So if we can team up with somebody, because I want to work with them, not on them. I'm not changing an alternator for them. I'm helping them heal as I can, or facilitate change, rather. I'm not really helping them heal. I'm facilitating change with them, so that we can create an environment where maybe the trauma doesn't stay as long. Maybe their recovery period is a little bit shorter, or maybe it's just a matter of they know when they come in and get a massage that they're able to completely let go, so that they can go back home and deal with the situation that they're dealing with. We were very blessed to work with a group of foster moms a couple of months ago. They were in Orlando doing a retreat, so I grabbed up a couple of friends and colleagues, and we went and did massage for these moms who were, away from their kids with a group of other moms who were all sort of in the same boat. And a lot of these women had PTSD themselves, or had kids who had PTSD because they were foster kids, and just being able to give them time to calm down. Some of them got massage, some of them got craniosacral therapy. Some of them were like, my hands are killing me. Can you massage my hands? But to an individual, they all reported back, via email or snail mail of, just thank you, because we helped them. We gave them the tools to turn the volume down for themselves, so then when they got home, they were able to turn the volume down for the people around them. So, it's one of those things we're not really ever sure what kind of impact we have as therapists, because we can do, you can do a treatment and not say a single word to somebody and effectively change their life in ways that we can't even imagine. And that's, for me, that's one of the reasons I get out of bed in the morning, is who knows who you can help and who knows how you can help them. All we know is that we got the tools to do that, and when we're gifted the ability to and a time to, that we can employ that.
Yes, definitely. And have you run into any clients with certain kind of medications that you should ask more questions about, or get more information on and stuff like that could actually affect the massage?
Yeah, I mean, on the intake form, when I was working in the spas, we didn't have an intake form. Our intake form was, do you have any aches, pains, bumps, bruises, medications that I need to know about? And then we had to trust them on their word. So in that case, you're just kind of trusting your instinct and trusting your gut to see if you get an honest read. In my private practice, I have an intake form. And if there's a medication on there that I don't know what it is, I go look it up. If I don't have, if the internet's down or my phone's dead, or I can't find the book I need, I'll turn the question back to them and just ask them, please explain to me what this medication is, why you're taking it, what its effects are for you. Because it could be something as simple as, like a Xanax, but people are prescribed Xanax for different reasons, and it impacts people for different ways. So, as a therapist, we want to make sure that we understand the medications they're on, how it's affecting them, because we can do massage, and the impact of massage may have them feeling amazing, but it may have them feeling amazing to the point where, like, I'm just going to stop taking my meds. And you're like, no. Let's go talk to your doctor. Go talk to your doctor, let him know how amazing you feel, and then go from there. Because that's not in our scope of practice to recommend that people stop taking their medication.
And have you ever dealt with the clients, a psychologist or psychiatrist then? Have you ever had communications? Of course, gotten written permission and things on both ends and stuff like that, but have you ever gone that route?
Yeah, I've referred out, and I've worked in collaboration with a couple, in confidence and following all the guidelines. And it was just kind of the psychologist that I was working with was intrigued by the changes that she had seen in her client, and so she got in touch with me with permission and everything, and it was just a matter of, what are you doing that's eliciting these responses? So it was a lot easier for me to go, why don't you just come see me, and I'll give you a treatment so that you can understand what I'm doing, so that you have a first-person experience of, whether it's the style of massage or, the style of body work that I'm doing, the questions I'm asking, the environment, what all that stuff is like, so that you know what I'm doing firsthand, so you're not having to go on assumptions or presumptions. And that's been a very, very good relationship. I've had the experience of the other side of that coin too, where the psychiatrist was, I think what you're doing is interfering with the wellness of our shared client. And I respectfully disagreed, but I left it up to the client. I was like, I'm going to respectfully disagree with you, but I'm going to leave this up to the client. If you want to tell the client that she doesn't need to be getting massaged, then that's fine, but I'm going to give the client the option to make her decision. for herself, just to be there, because she was seeing benefit from the feedback she was giving me. You know, as far as like her quality of sleep was the biggest thing that we had seen with her. You know, she was sleeping but maybe 2-3 hours a night, and the nights that she got massage, she was getting a full 6 to 8 hours of sleep. So, you know, we live and learn.
Yep. And did she stay on with you then, or?
I see her about a quarter as much as I used to. I see her a couple of times a year now versus seeing her, you know, about every 6 weeks. And you know, when she comes, she feels great. You know, but we're gonna have those types of clients, and we're gonna have those types of medical professionals that don't necessarily have the same value for what we do as we do. And you know, at that point, we can't push a rope. You know, you can't force somebody to come and enjoy your massage. So, you know, wish we could. But
and have you run into other psychologists, psychiatrists, or healthcare professionals or doctors that don't believe in massage, or other ones that don't think their patients should be getting it?
I've had conversations with a couple that didn't, you know, I was doing massage at a spa, and you know, they'd be there on a convention or a trade show, or they'd be taking CE classes or whatever. And you know, they're like, oh, this is just a luxury. You know, my wife makes me do this. Massage doesn't really have a value. You know, and 15 minutes into the session, they're sawing logs on the massage table. You know, and they get up and they're like, man, that was okay. I'm like, okay. You know, so maybe next time book a longer massage, and you know, we'll keep you awake during it so you can actually see and feel what's going on. You know, but I don't see any reason to fight somebody, you know, because you're not going to convince somebody otherwise. All we can do is try and have a respectful, mutual conversation based in intelligence, and you know, see what you can do. But you know, if somebody's dead set against massage and they don't believe in it, you know, you're not going to convince somebody that they should drink Pepsi versus Coke.
Yep. or just don't drink either. So.
Yeah. You know, the water doesn't really serve a purpose. Okay. Sure.
And have you heard of many massage therapists actually working in mental health facilities or clinics and stuff? Because I know up here in Minnesota we got Hazleton. It's a nationally known you know, facility and stuff like that, and they actually have massage therapists on staff. So.
I have met a few through the years with different places that I've taught. You know, I met one woman who she had been a psychologist for 20-something years, and then decided to go to massage school, and then she got into craniosacral work, and then you know, she got to the point where she wouldn't see clients anymore unless they laid on the massage table and she got to put her hands on them. Because she wanted to hear what they had to say, but also wanted to be able to feel the expression of the tissue in her words. So, you know, it hasn't been too often that I've come across people that have the luxury, so to speak, of working in a setting like that. You know, I wish that that there were more opportunities like that. But you know, it's just you know, we're basically the new kid on the block as far as that goes. So you know, we got to earn our street cred as we go, so that those doors can open.
Yep. And then in Minnesota, I ran into this psychologist many years ago, and the psychologist is actually a massage therapist. But this is what he told me, is he was only able to work on certain areas of the body, and it kind of had to be separate from the actual counseling sessions and stuff like that. And have you heard of that kind of thing, or?
Yeah, it's kind of in the same school as PTs. You know, they get a script and they are only allowed to do certain things on certain parts of the body, even though they know if they could do a little bit extra somewhere else, it would be beneficial. You know, so they're kind of bound to you know, certain guidelines that as massage therapists we have the privilege of not necessarily having to be limited in such a tight scope, but at the same time, you know, we're not getting access to that demographic either.
And can you kind of do a walkthrough of the different kind of classes that you have for PTSD and stuff, and what you have entailed in them?
Yeah, the main class we have is called Bodywork for PTSD. It's a 2-day workshop, 16 CEs. Of those 16 hours that you're in the classroom, you're on the table for at least 10 of it. Because one of the big things is, I believe that it's best that we understand what it feels like in ourselves to sort of walk the process, so that we can know what it's like for our clients to walk the process. It's one of those things that's kind of hard to help a client get there if you haven't been there yourself. And not necessarily everybody needs to run out and go get PTSD so that they can take the class or help people, but just kind of to open up perspective. We talk about there's a book out there called The Survivors Club by Ben Sherwood, and it's a book that he wrote exclusively on how people have survived crazy things. Being attacked by a mountain lion, the Central Park jogger. An old lady who falls and lands on a sewing needle. People lost at sea, and how they survive and what makes them survive. And one of the things that I recommend in the class is that therapists read that book just to gain a perspective of the capacity of what human beings can go through and live through. So we talk about that, and we talk about how to decompress, how to turn down the nervous system, and we go through some hands-on stuff, and we go through some awareness things so that we know what kind of impact we have when we're putting our hands on somebody. As therapists, we tend to think that we're very neutral and we're grounded, but sometimes that's not really true. So we explore what neutral positive and neutral negative and true neutral feels like. And then on day 2, we go through some of the manual stuff of how to actually work into areas, work out of areas, and understand the different categories of people who have PTSD, because it's such a big range of people that have it and suffer from it that sometimes some things are too close to home. A veteran may not want to work on a veteran. Somebody who's been sexually abused probably isn't going to want to work on somebody who's been sexually abused because it's too close to home. But somebody who's been sexually abused may hold the key for the person who lived through a natural disaster. So as a therapist, it's important for us to know where our groove is, where our niche is with this. So we kind of explore the different pieces of it, the different faces of it, the different presentations of it, so the therapists know going in, maybe working with veterans or maybe working with nurses or doctors isn't where I can help this demographic. Maybe it's working with children. That's the big basis of the Bodywork for PTSD class. It's less about modality and technique, and it's more about mentality and approach. I don't build the touch education workshops to be the be-all and end-all of any technique. If there's any one modality that was so amazing, that's the only technique and modality we would ever need. But if you look, I think the AMTA said there's like 200-something different modalities. So it's not about do it my way. It's let's open up to a perspective so that we can understand what's going on in this demographic, and then plug in what you know in your experience and integrate that so that you're able to help as much as you can.
Yep, and the thing is, I think so many massage therapists are looking for this great technique or unfound technique and stuff like that, but the thing is, we already have a lot of the techniques already. It's the knowledge that we really need to start prevailing to the clients, I think, and stuff. So. Sure,
in perspective. Yep. Being able to, that's where we come back to that whole idea of sympathy versus empathy is, having an understanding of what somebody may have gone through and being able to help them is different than having an idea of what somebody's gone through and then trying to put yourself in their shoes. Because when you slide into that sympathy side and you slide into empathy, you look at them and just kind of go, where do I need to operate from to be the most effective? And there's only so many things you can do to elevate your scapula.
Yep.
So short of taking it out, going across the street to Walgreens and picking out a new one and bringing it across, we're not really in the business of fixing people. We're facilitating change in a living, breathing human being.
Yep, definitely. And then, how long is your shorter class then?
I have a 2-hour class that I'm going to be doing at the Florida State Massage Therapy Convention here in a couple of weeks in Orlando, and that's a 2-hour class. Right now, I'm currently doing the 2-hour and then the 16-hour formats. We've got a couple other classes that can be taken to help supplement the knowledge. I do an integrative craniosacral therapy certification where we bring the biomechanical version of craniosacral therapy together with the biodynamic version to just give a more complete picture of what that modality brings and what those modality bring. The tools for effective deep tissue, it's just about, it's another workshop that we do that teaches just listening to the tissue. Working with the tissue versus working on the tissue. Being able to adjust your body mechanics so that when you're working with somebody, you don't have to pay attention to your low back pain because you're adjusting what your mechanics are in the session so your back pain goes away so you can go back to being in their tissue instead of paying attention to your low back pain or your forearm pain or your wrist pain or your thumb pain. So the way that I build them is kind of like Legos. Is the parts are interchangeable, but they're all stackable to help you achieve greater outcomes.
Yep. And then the 2-hour class, will that kind of give you like a baseline of what kind of things to be aware of and stuff like that? Something you can incorporate into your practice and stuff? And
it does. We talk about, what PTSD is, the phases of it, what our role in it as massage therapists are. When we look at the criteria for being diagnosed with PTSD, one of them is hyperarousal. And, somebody who's in that agitated state, it may be an internal agitation where they're just kind of like vibrating on the inside, approaching them and just helping them turn the volume down. So we talk about, we basically define what turning the volume down for the nervous system is, so that the therapist understands it, and so that the therapist can then explain it to the client. So that they can massage the conversation and choose different pieces of vernacular to talk to them and help communicate these are options for you to reach the goal that you want of returning back to whatever normal means for them.
Yep. And what kind of success stories have you had and stuff over the years?
The stuff that really blows me away, the clients that I see week to week or month to month or every 6 weeks, the fact that they keep coming back, or the fact that they're by choice not coming back because we've gotten them to a point where they don't need every month. They've learned how to identify their triggers and adapt to it so that when they come and get worked on, it's an enjoyable session. We've gotten them from crisis management to we can handle some stuff, and they know, every 4 weeks I need to go in and see. Or I know when I start to feel this way, that's an indication I need to go see Matt. For them, the feedback is awesome, because the referrals keep coming. They're like, hey, I've got a friend I want you to see, and I get phone calls from people that I don't know, never met, and some of them don't remember where they heard my name from, but they just came across my card, or they came across my phone number, and they're like, hey, I heard you do this thing that might help. Let's give it a try. I'm like, okay, sure. I'm not really sure what that means or where you came from, but yeah, let's give it a go. But the ones that really impact me were the ones when I was working in spas full time, where I would work on somebody and I'd see him at the spa and we'd work with each other and we'd do a session, whether it's just the Swedish or whatever, and then I'd get a letter from them, 3-4 months later, to the hotel, saying, thank you for the session, I appreciate that. There were a lot of people over the years who, because I was in a resort, I'd see people from all over the country, and I'd help them find a massage therapist wherever they're from. So I got to pay it forward to other people in my profession that I didn't know. I would look them up online or give them a call and say, hey, are you taking new clients? I got a lady who lives in your zip code. This is the technique. This is the treatment we did. Would you be willing to see them? So I got to pay it forward that way too, and the feedback, has been pretty good. The one that really got me, that really kicked off the whole idea behind PTSD was I was working on a general, and he came in and he laid down. I put my hands on the back of his head just to kind of start the session, and it was like holding a frozen piece of steak. It was just a solid mass of tissue. And I was like, so, back to, we were using humor. I'm like, so you don't relax very often, do you? And he was in a robe, so it's not like he had a robe with stars on it or anything. It's just, through conversation we figured out that he was a general. And, when I said, you don't relax very often, do you? And he's like, I don't know what that means, son. Okay,
yep.
Well, how about if I teach you? Good luck, son. And the sun kept coming back, and I kept getting smaller and smaller and smaller in my chair. I started working on his neck and just kind of started holding his neck, and I did a little bit of cranial stuff. I did a little bit of fascia release, and about 25 minutes into the session, he fell asleep. And I got done with my 50-minute session, and I said I'll be right back. Woke him up to let him know I was going to leave the room. And left the room, and I went and told my supervisor, I was like, I need you to move my next appointment. There's a guy on my table that has earned the right to just be on my table, and if I need to pay for his treatment, I'm going to pay for his treatment for that extra hour. And so I went in, and I just sat there, and I just continued to just kind of do the same stuff, just working on his neck. I never left his neck. But he was in a deep sleep the entire time, and when he got up, the look in his eyes was all the thanks that I've needed for my entire career. And I got a letter from him a couple of years later saying thank you. During that trip was the most relaxed he had ever been, and now he's positively working towards trying to find that again. And that's the kind of feedback that for me that makes all this worth it.
Yeah, that's awesome because, especially certain professions, like you're saying with the general, they're conditioned to be in a certain realm, and a lot of times it's gone into their personal life too and stuff, so they can't turn it off. That's a problem.
Yeah, there's a thing that's called stress inoculation training, where they will send soldiers and basically put them through such crazy situations that they're almost immune to stress, and then they come back, after a detail, and they're at a gas station with somebody who's mad that, their debit card's not working. It's kind of a first world problem, that these guys, they come back and they don't necessarily are equipped to deal with anymore. So yeah, being able to help that is tremendous.
Yeah, and this one person I knew back in the day, when he came back from Afghanistan, he actually, his parents actually took away his driver's license because he kept getting speeding tickets afterwards and stuff too. But that's why he was dealing with trying to cope and stuff with everything and stuff, just speeding and just trying to escape and stuff too.
Yeah, that's one of the big pieces is the foreshortened future. I don't know what I'm going to be doing in 6 months because I might not be alive in 6 months. That's one of the things that I've seen a lot in the soldiers that I've worked with is they don't have that future horizon plan gene in their head, or in their body at the time. And they'll speed or they'll drink or sometimes it's helping the soldiers find what to drink and what not to drink. A friend of mine, he can go mellow if he's drinking red wine, and it helps him calm down. But if he drinks white wine, if he drinks whiskey, if he drinks any kind of clear liquor, if he drinks beer, it brings back that hyper-arousal agitation stuff. But he was able to figure out that if he has red wine, that it allows him to kind of go to a very calm place and kind of manage and deal and work through the stuff that he's dealing with. To the point where actually he can go to Disney now and see the fireworks and not have the flashback, not have that intrusive recollection, not have that there's fireworks going off, and even though I see these beautiful fireworks, my nervous system is telling me that's a mortar. So he can actually go and enjoy time with his family at one of our beautiful theme parks here in Orlando.
Yeah, yeah, and that was hard for me too. I mean, 3 months after the Boston Marathon with the 4th of July, I mean, it was just like, yeah.
I can imagine.
Yep. And what can we expect from you in the near future and stuff with PTSD and stuff?
Well, I'm in the process of creating an online version of my Bodywork for PTSD class so that I can multiply myself and be in more locations and stretch the capacity of this work and of this class to reach as many people as I can. I'm a single dude here in Florida. I've got 2 kids and a beautiful wife, and I'm blessed with the newfound ability within the last couple of months of being able to be a stay-at-home dad. So I'm working on trying to figure out how that job fits a crazy travel schedule. So I want to take the class online, and at the same time, anybody who's watching this, if you're interested in bringing this class to your area, reach out to me, Matthew@toucheducation.com. You can hit me up on toucheducation.com and send me an email that way. And I'll do my best to try and reach your geographic region, even if it's just something as simple as possibly going online and doing a live webinar where you have a bunch of people there that I'm doing a class here, and then we're doing distance learning there. I'm trying to ease my way into this interweb thing that we talk about all the time, so that I can try and reach out to people and help as many people as I can in as many different ways.
And I think definitely a book. Have you thought about doing a book in the near future too and stuff?
It's coming. I spent a month in Costa Rica teaching at a massage school down there, and started about 3 different books. And I'm not sure which one needs to come out first. It's probably not the one with all the stories that I've acquired over my career of the crazy stuff we see. That one might have to come out under somebody else's name. But yeah, I'm open to anything. Different people in my life like yourself. I mean, you've been an inspiration. The amount of time and dedication you've given to our profession is tremendous, and the impact you've had on people that you may not have any contact with other than them going to Massage Nerd or listening to the radio shows is exponential beyond what we can think. So I'm willing to take inspiration from people like yourself and people in our industry and learn from them and learn ways to reach out and try and help out more people.
Yep. And I want to personally thank you for bringing up this topic too and stuff. And this is so needed, honestly, and stuff like that. And it's been needed for many, many years and stuff. I mean, and I'm glad you're the person that's kind of spearheading this PTSD and stuff.
Thank you. I mean, that means a lot. You and I have chatted, and this is something that it means. If I can be all rainbow and unicorn for just a second, I feel like this is it for me. I'm 14 years into this profession. I know, based off of dollar cost averaging of my years, I've probably done 16,000, 17,000 massages in my career so far. So, doing a Swedish massage, I can do it, and I'm pretty sure I can do it pretty well. But it's not necessarily what I need to be doing, kind of a thing. So thank you, for those awesome and kind words, and it's reciprocal in nature.
Yep, thanks. And then, how do people get in touch with you then? Your website and everything else?
Yeah, the website is toucheducation.com, all one word. There's a contact us spot on there. I'm going to be bouncing around the country, different places, doing classes. I'm very much a grassroots organization. Touch Education is. I don't advertise in a lot of the magazines and things like that, just because it's me. Hi, this is this is touch education right here. So if you go to the website and you see something you like, and you're in Idaho, or you're in California, or you're in Kalamazoo, shoot me an email. You can call me on the phone, but like you, I'm a working therapist. I'm busy. Answering phone calls isn't the easiest thing to do, but we can always shoot a text message or an email in between appointments. So toucheducation.com is a great spot to go. My phone number 321-217-3970. Call me. Shoot me a text message. It's fine. If you want to cyber stalk me, you can do that too. Facebook. I'm available on Facebook. Touch Education has a Facebook page. Facebook.com/toucheducation. We try and build community. So if you have questions on PTSD, if you have questions on, the integrative craniosacral therapy stuff we do, the tools for effective deep tissue stuff we do, we're dialing in a retreat for 2015 down in Costa Rica, kind of off the beaten path. So that's going to be coming. That's me in a nutshell.
Yep. And keep being you, okay?
It's the only way I know how to be.
Yep. Well, thank you very much, Matthew.
Absolutely, my pleasure. Thank you, Ryan, for all that you've done for us in our profession, and thank you for the time to bring this to as many people as I can.
Yep, thanks. And thanks, everybody, for tuning in.